I kept my voice down. Certainly not when the hot iron charred my arm. Not when my heartbeat was drowned out by the steam's hiss. Not even when Brooke, my sister, grinned and pushed harder. The agony wasn't what finally shattered me. The stillness was the key. Standing motionless in the doorway, Mum crossed her arms. Sitting at the kitchen table, Dad stared intently into his coffee. Nobody hurried. Nobody shouted. Nobody pitched in. My home was there, but I knew I had never been a part of it that night. I kept my voice down, begged, not me, with one burning promise in my heart. I just packed up all of my possessions and departed. Everything they've built will be consumed by flames if they permit me to burn. They never again seen my helplessness until that fateful night. Both the girl who departed and the woman who came back were wounded. Accompanied by flames, she arrived. From the outside, they appeared flawless at all times. I see a white picket fence, new paint, and the submissive roses that my mum planted. Waves were exchanged by the neighbors. Mum and Dad grinned. My older sister Brooke was the model daughter, the one that all parents dreamed of having. Being the one who trailed after her flawless brightness, I was the other one. Charm, pageants, and trophies. Brooke had it all. Duties, curfews, and quiet were my obligations. She would tease me about how I was the imperfection in our picture-perfect family when we were tiny and pull my hair. Your mum would find it funny. Emery, your dad would tell you not to provoke her. At a young age, I realized that when our home was calm, my pain would also be silent. As good churchgoers, we sat every Sunday with our hands folded, shoes polished, and gowns ironed for worship. However, when no one was looking, my mother's voice remained unabated, regardless of the sermon. As she walked past me in the hall, Brooke continued to say something useless, unabated by any prayer. Never have I felt so unsafe in my own home. I confided in a teacher. Child welfare arrived. They took cookies, compliments, and a handwritten note of gratitude from my mum, Janice Hartwell, before they departed. Brooke knocked me down the stairs that night. I was 13 years old. Stop being dramatic, Mum remarked. Dad let out a sigh. I decided to remain. I persevered despite wounds, shattered possessions, and broken word. I stayed till I found an exit strategy at university. Yet the reality, nobody ever let me go. No, actually. Because no door can truly close when you're raised in a house where deceit is rampant. Just as you recoil in horror at acts of compassion, it follows you. Like when someone accidentally bumps into you and you apologize. If you're self-conscious about taking up room, it shows when you look in the mirror. I walked away, even before. The iron made contact. The pain was there, simmering beneath the surface. I was hesitant to agree to the weekend fumigation that my landlord had requested, because it would take 72 hours. Was that my sole choice? Finally, I'm back at the house. I buried. One word was all Brooke texted me. Figures. My mum came right after. No drama. We'll create room for you. My luggage was minimal. One bag alone, an office shirt, and a myriad of barriers surrounding my soul. I assured myself that it would only be for 3 days. Maintain a low profile. Keep silent. Avoid making her angry. That the fire that was about to consume me would be literal was a mystery to me at the time. It would consist of human beings, heat, and quiet. And I would not have to clean up afterward this time. I could feel it the second I stepped foot inside. Like cigarette smoke, that musty, heavy tension clung on the wallpaper. There had been no change. Consistent beige walls, the same meticulously laid pillows on the couch, the same quiet that amounted to a slap's worth of volume. It was already Brooke's place. Taking up much of the living room, like an obstinate monarch, grabbed my phone, seated on the table. false eyelashes, serious poison. Her greeting was non-existent. Not even to glance upwards did she dare. I merely grinned and whispered, "Foretold this will transpire to Mum." The kitchen belonged to Mum. She nodded at me. I felt like I was just a bother, not a mother. Uninvited guest. I mean really. Business operations. There is plenty of storage space in your room. Brooke's room has a pull-out sofa where you can sleep. Then Brooke glanced upwards. Sharp, jagged eyes. There was a poison in her lovely voice. Guidelines for the home. Respect my belongings. My mirror is not for you. Be quiet as you breathe. I felt like laughing, but I had forgotten how to use my throat. One eye was open while I slept. Throughout the night, she kept the light on, while adrift on social media, blasting out TikToks. The following morning, she inadvertently spritzed my shirt with nail polish. "Stay silent, Mom." If Dad were home, he would have simply shrugged and returned to his paper, but he is at work. I stayed outside on that second day. I resigned myself to spending just one more night in the library's peaceful nook. I held my work shirt in my hands, the only clean item I had taken with me, mostly white, shirt with ties, prone to wrinkles. Sneaking into the laundry room, I ironed. At around 9 o'clock in the evening, I turned down the lights. I didn't want to disturb any spirits. The iron sounded angry, low-humming, and aged. As I meticulously pressed each line and fold, steam curled off the metal. Hopefully, if I could manage to keep this shirt neat, something would remain under control. Suddenly her voice came from behind me. "Have I already said that my iron is hot?" I pivoted, with a wine cooler in one hand and a mischievous grin on her face. She stood there. "Define your lips, strike a balance." "Be careful," I answered. "It's my mom's iron." She advanced toward him. "No way. This is mine. Similar to all the other things in this home." I choked. "It won't take long at all. You were an envious parasite from the start." The remark was insensitive. This is different from how it was in the past. Her exuberant energy buzzed as she hovered, arms loosened. I sensed that a change was imminent. Head slanted to one side. My smile remains unbowed. "Keep pretending like you're from around here, okay?" I glanced at the garment below, clicked on an additional line. With a hiss, steam escaped. "Brooke, get out of here." I used the wrong words. Her body shifted. It was a flash in the pan. Before I could react, she grabbed the rope from the wall. My arm was slammed by the hot iron. I kept my voice down. I felt a sudden jolt, and my legs became weak. The iron clanged hollowly when it hit the floor. Agony, though, the deity, the agony was already rippling throughout my body like a wildfire. I sank to my knees and clenched my arm. The air was thick with the aroma of sizzling meat. The intensity of my bite caused me to gag, and I could almost taste blood. My vision became hazy. Her face was imperceptible to me. She was still audible to me. Her tone was one of hissing at the sufferer. "You had no place here. That hasn't changed." Next, a sound of footfall. Fast, sharp, old hat, dear mother. At the doorway, she halted. She glanced around, flat on my floor. My sleeve was scorched. Next to me, the iron is still hot. Standing motionless, Brooke crossed her arms as if nothing had transpired. What on earth occurred? In a curt tone, Mom asked. Brooke didn't waste a moment in saying that she assaulted me. She made an iron-wielding attempt at me. I gasped for air. To my surprise, she scorched me. There was no mercy in Mom's eyes. Stayed put. She caught Brooke's eye second. I was the target, it was said. Trash gets that just for being trash. No emotion, without reserve. The truth is what it is. It was as if she could read the forecast. A gasp escaped my lips. The words were more painful than the pain itself. She went on to say that you should expect worse treatment. My gaze shifted upwards. Brooke's expression was one of pure joy. The expression on Mum's face was unmoving, and behind her, with a cup in his hand, Dad looked like he was half asleep. He refrained from inquiring. He merely glanced in my direction, shook his head slowly, and then returned to his path down the corridor. I kept my voice down. None of that made me weep. Sitting there with a blistered arm and a hollow chest, I came to the realization that something within me had just passed away. However, it gave birth to something new. Colder than agony, it was distinct from animosity. My feet hit the floor. In a frightened motion, Brooke retreated, as if anticipating that I would remain seated on the floor. Your mum arched an eyebrow. That has to be cleaned up. I glanced at both of them. In 5 minutes, I promised, I will. Leave your house. But I'm not going to run this time. I'm looking back. Mother frowned. So you believe you terrify us? No, I whispered. Unfortunately, you're about to find out that even a parasite can empty your body. It was not me that took the garment. The bag was not mine to keep. Even my charger escaped me. Nothing came out of it for me. Whatever else is false. On top of that, I cursed on every inch of burned flesh. I would make that reality sting. I opted not to visit the emergency room. Despite my numb face and searing arm, I made my way into a 24-hour pharmacy, purchased gauze, burn cream, and pain relievers with cash. With a quick look in my direction, the pharmacist loosened his jaw and parted his lips. I covered the cut in quiet. Stay dry, preciseness alone, as if I were delicately wrapping a holy and pointed object. The cops weren't contacted either. Then, what's the use? The community wellness board was chaired by Mum. Every Friday, my dad and the police chief would play poker. I could show them photos of my injuries and bruises, and they would still brush it off as an innocent misunderstanding. They had done it previously. However, I also refrained from returning to my flat. I had a visit at Morgan's. Undressed and with her hair in a disheveled state, she swept open the door. Are you Emery? Nothing came out of my mouth. I just had an unexpected surprise. In the narrow foyer, her scream resounded. What in the world did they do to you, Jesus? Christ. I took a seat on the sofa. The cushions collapsed under my weight. I asserted that I am free to conceal it on my own. Someone assist me in turning it over. For an instant, Morgan just looked at me. And then they gave a little nod. Count me in. Our night was spent awake. Tea was brought to her. I evoked recollections, previous text messages, messaging between phone calls. I had photos of my bruises stashed away, but I was too chicken to show them. Images of Brooke's, insulting remarks about my being the defect in our group chats. It was Mum giggling on the phone and saying, Emery, bruises like a peach, in one of her voicemails. Very little effort is required. As soon as Morgan pressed play, her hands trembled. We have more than enough, she muttered. Just enough to send. Them tumbling. I firmly stated no. Fall alone isn't enough. When no one is watching, I want the world to witness their true nature. Morgan relaxed, her gaze fixed. Next, we accomplished this in a well-organized, controlled manner. Order was what I want. I desired elucidation. Silence had always been a weapon for them. Right now, I'd use their own words as the weapon. For years, Brooke had worked to perfect her public persona, and now it's shown. Stunning for Instagram, PR done right. Supermodel of inauthentic self-esteem postees, curated brunches, and business jargon. She was an employee at the prestigious downtown Luxe PR marketing agency, responsible for managing high-end clientele, preserving reputations, and resolving crises. There was an almost lyrical irony to it. Getting her fired wasn't my only goal. I wanted her to be brought to light by the system that she believed she controlled. Everything was set up with Morgan's help. We made up a consultancy persona, posing as a tiny wellness brand seeking public relations help. We purchased a disposable phone. Launch your company's email. Listed Morgan's flat as the principal place of business. We specifically asked for Brooke's name in our nebulous project brief. As I mentioned in the email, your branding is quite courageous. I am looking for a partner who is fearless and won't back down. We were able to arrange a meeting in just 48 hours, along with my grey pantsuit. I sported a dark wig and big spectacles. Decent, unremarkable, remarkably different. A 10-minute tardiness was Brooke's arrival. Her blonde ponytail was pointed. She forced a grin. She totally didn't see me. Complete darkness. Meeting time was minimal. Yes, was my response. Made up questions. Acting as if one admires. After that, I moved a big envelope across the table. Identify this. With a nonchalant flick of the page, she inquired, is it within? Images depicting bruising, snapshots of communications, a written version of her inebriated voicemail message. The only thing that works, honestly, is slapping the loser straight. A change occurred on her face, and I noted it. Initially perplexed, then taken aback. In dread, gesturing upwards, she blinked. Her pitch fell. Just who do you believe you are? I drew nearer. The imperfection in your flawless photo is me. You attempted to set it ablaze. Her grip was unsteady. Your name will be on a lawsuit I file. Calmly, I rose up and typed on my phone. The entire interaction had been videotaped by Morgan's buddy, a legal intern who was sitting at a table near the window behind her. Prior to Brooke resuming her speech, we departed. Lux PR issued a comment by morning. Ms. Hartwell has been fired. Awaiting additional inquiry into behavioral issues and fresh evidence. Instagram stopped following her. They stopped supporting her. She was unpleasantly trending by Friday. I failed to make any posts. No, I refrained from arrogance. Morgan and I were simply sitting there, drinking coffee. One down, I whispered. Plus, it had been years since I last felt warm without being burned. While Brooke was queen of social media, Mum was queen of reality. Place of worship, participants in fundraising events, boards of education. Janice Hartwell exemplified grace in the eyes of onlookers. Event planner, get involved. Family values spokeswoman. Nominated by the community newspaper for Mother of the Year award for 3 consecutive years. In private, though, nobody had laid eyes on her when she chortled while Brooke beat me up. She informed me I had been a long-lived mistake. Just like that, I waited. I was anticipating that the time would be right. Yes, it accomplished that. Welcome to the Spring Community Gala. At the appointed time, Mum was to address the gathering. In order to give her yearly speech on the importance of family strength, unity, and resilience. Photos were her favorite. Applause was her favorite. I made a ticket purchase. A little black gown. I went unnoticed. People applauded as she entered the stage. Listen closely. Get ready, she began. Kindness served as the foundation for this community, based on grace, and regarding the love that starts at home. Forward, I moved. Keep silent, without pause. I gave. The event hosts a little USB drive, and she blinked in shock. The sender is unknown. Calmly, I said, in honor of tonight's tribute section. Who we are and what we mean by family is the title. Shades went down. Behind my mum, a screen flickered on and off. First an image of an injured arm, next an injured forearm. Following that, An audio sample from a voicemail. Emery has a peach-shaped bruise every time. It's almost comical how simple it is to annoy her. The audience sent out a gasp of shock. Various audio clips. Once more, Mum's voice. She should never have entered this world. My heart longed for a son. The atmosphere dimmed. Mummy went completely limp. She remained still. The podium, however, was gripped by her hands. The audience began to whisper. We lowered the phones. After that, I got to my feet. She can just make out my voice as I draw near. I thought that was the penalty for being garbage. Janice, bask in the limelight. Here it is, edited by your son. The mic fell to the floor, I mean it, and took flight. Before the sun came up, word had spread. Her resignation was demanded by the local church board. Her events lost sponsors. Her legacy mother's profile was removed by the newspaper. She attempted to deny its veracity. Evidently, someone had fabricated her voice. But the truth isn't loud enough. Replaying it is all that is required. The crowd was silent this time. To hear nothing was my expectation. What caught me off guard? It was a case of litigation. A substantial envelope arrived in my mailbox 2 weeks subsequent to the gala. Postal code for returns. Her name is Janice Hartwell. On the inside, criticism in writing, public shaming, mental anguish character, deliberately doing harm. Without its extreme desperation, it could have been humorous. The very same mum who'd watched helplessly as her daughter's flesh charred in a kitchen. She now desired for everyone to see her as the helpless victim. Olivia became a signatory to the petition. My identity was allegedly withheld from them, tampered with, every single thing. Visualmedia.audio. When something happened, I was supposedly psychologically unstable, they said. Truthfully, I had always been a jealous, charming young woman, looking for some focus. It was definitely not high school. Plus, they had lost access to legal representation. Not ever since Brooke's employment ended. Donors to Mom's gala vanished. Contrarily, I had constructed. In a stealthy manner, it had been salvaged by me. Get ready. Developed more resilience while hiding. On my own, I arrived at the pre-hearing. Sleek, dark suit, the burn gradually healed. I am unafraid. They panicked and showed up in old church attire. Mom held her pearls close, as if they could shield her. From harm. Inside, Olivia sported a pair of shades. Someone said I was unstable. You are dangerous, they said. However, proof was requested by the judge. A folder was opened. Images captured on screen and printed out. Healthcare bills. Transcripts of audio recordings. The email that Olivia forwarded to me almost 2 years ago, with the subject head, remember, you were born into an unwelcome situation. All documents were examined by the court. His questioning was minimal. That wasn't necessary. 30 minutes later, he raised his eyes to gaze about. He stressed that this was not a lawsuit. This strategy is designed to intimidate. Case rejected. In writing permanently, my mum let out a gasp. Olivia started crying. I remained silent. I merely stood, got my folder together, and proceeded to stroll past them. They shouldn't be seen as victims. Regarding their daughter, no. Just like the tempest they sparked, at long last, getting even. Following the hearing, I stayed put. My apartment, no. Regarding Morgan, no. I visited Phoenix Reach's headquarters, the charity that, all this time, I had been secretly helping to fund. Our first lease had just been signed. A small room. Legal aid in one room. I also work in trauma treatment. The door was adorned with our motto. Scars may not always be visible after a burn. Those harmed by the unsung heroes received our assistance. To sisters, women who are mothers, my aunts, The predators, cloaked in the guise of religious programs and birthday cakes. A reporter contacted me again 6 weeks after that. Word of my narrative had gotten around. My agreement to remain nameless was explicit. On a Wednesday, the interview was broadcast. It just took one quote for word to spread. She scorched me with an iron. However, the quiet was the true wound. I shattered that. Countless people obliged. Emails, written communication, narratives as mine. I saw it, Olivia. Without a doubt, she did. A grainy video of hers was uploaded to YouTube. Emotions run deep. Unsubstantiated claims. Guilt of a crocodile. However, people started criticizing her. Your sister was burned by you. Now you're furious because she transformed their anguish into something you can't erase. Her devotees vanished. Her lease was terminated by the landlord. No public relations agency in the area would work with her again. Bomb returned to the community center in an effort to volunteer once more. A group of people expressed their fullness. My phone rang one night, the number that belongs to Brooke. She sounded trembling. It was all for naught. No, my response was gentle. That was a huge setback. Press the button. I did away with the ringer. Stepped into the therapy room and saw an adolescent sitting there with her arm lowered. Then I grinned at her. And I knew right then they threatened to cook me to death. However, I didn't merely make it. A fire couldn't harm me anymore, and it rose from the dust. Something I created is impenetrable to them.